though. We discussed yesterday it was likely Philadelphia was going to make a change to their offensive coordinator, and just hours after we went off the air, it did indeed happen. The Eagles firing offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo after he was promoted from passing game coordinator to OC just 1 year ago. The Eagles scoring just dropped from a year ago, even though they did bring back 10 of 11 starters on offense from their Super Bowl winning roster. In fact, last season, the Eagles ranked in the top 10 in multiple offensive categories, including points per game and yards per game en route to a Super Bowl title. This season, the offensive production decreased dramatically, ranking in the bottom half of the league in those exact same categories. I don't think this was a surprise to anyone. The Eagles also have the most expensive offense in the NFL. But now the question is, as we look forward, do they need to do more than just fire their offensive coordinator to fix the offense? Swagu?
Yeah, they need to trade A.J. Brown.
No doubt.
Nothing told me, and we've talked about AJ and the team, and we saw the blow up with Nick Sirianni on the sideline during the playoff game, but that wasn't the one that did it for me. The one that did it for me is that you need to make a play at the end of the game and try to score a touchdown. And Jalen Hurts throws in the triple coverage in the middle of the field, and AJ Brown is one-on-one on the outside. Now, I recall weeks ago when the Philadelphia Eagles were playing the Rams and they had to manufacture some offense. And it was the A.J. Brown show because they knew and trusted that he would make those plays. And I know there were 2 misses in the game, but those 2 misses don't dismiss all of the catches and big plays that he's made while in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. So that play specifically at the end of the game told me that this whole thing was a problem. And I don't think you have a $100 million wide receiver on your roster. I don't believe you've watched A.J. Brown make the plays that he's made. And at the end of a football game in the playoffs, when you need to make a play and he's matched up man-to-man against Diamadou Lenoir from the San Francisco 49ers and you don't throw him the ball. So there's a lot of things that we could, take away from the relationship and the success that this team has had, because to be honest with you, what they paid A.J. Brown in his contract paid off. They won a Super Bowl. He performed at a very high level. But ultimately, that last play of the game told me everything I needed to know without any player, coach, head of the organization saying. So I just believe that it's time to move A.J. Brown, and it's probably time for A.J. Brown probably wants some new scenery based on how this relationship has went this year as well.
Really quick, Schrager, before you jump in here. All 4 of the drops the Eagles had in that game came on third down. They were in critical situational times. Now, you mentioned the drops by A.J. Brown, but maybe end of the game scenario, they didn't trust him in that moment. And also in the games where he had big catches, Swagu, they lost. The Eagles lost.
Shay, I'm not going to change my perspective because I said the same thing about Derrick Henry. Do y'all remember earlier in the year when we were talking about Derrick Henry fumbling and, should they give him the football? I believe his first 10 years in the NFL, beyond the bad plays that he had this year, I believe A.J. Brown catches more balls than he drops based on his history in the NFL. Not trusting him in that moment is asinine. If he doesn't make the play, everybody can visibly see that he wasn't able to make the play. But if I got a game on the line with a $100 million wide receiver that I've seen destroy people since he showed up here in one-on-one situations, and I don't throw him the ball, and I tell you I lost trust in him throughout the course of 30 minutes, would be crazy as hell.
Okay.
There are 9 open head coaching positions right now. I think the Eagles' offensive coordinator hire is more fascinating than any of those 9 jobs.
Any of them. Yep.
That includes whoever's going to be the head coach for Lamar Jackson's second chapter of his career. That includes the mighty New York Giants and the mighty Pittsburgh Steelers. This job right here, the Eagles OC, is as pressure-filled, as microscopic an analysis, and as hot a seat as any in the NFL. And Kevin Patullo just learned just how difficult a job it can be in that media market. Kellen Moore, when they hired him, that was not looked at as this amazing hire. They interviewed Cliff Kingsbury. They interviewed Zach Robinson. They did a wide search for that job. And when Kellen Moore won a Super Bowl and got the opportunity with New Orleans, it left this vacant role. And they said, we're going to hire from within, and Sirianni's going to hire his guy. He'd worked with Patullo for years. They were together. They did stuff with Steichen. They have a history. Who wants that job right now? It's a very, very important role in that organization because you have all the weapons and all the stars, but it is as pressure-packed a job and one with a hotter seat and a media microscope than any in the NFL, and I include those head coaching jobs. Kevin Patullo yesterday, there was a celebration in the streets of Philly when he lost his job, and more than that, there was a guy who did a driving range, and I saw this, and it was his face, and everyone was laughing about it. They threw eggs at his house. I don't know if this job is as desirable as you'd think just because they have Saquon and all these guys. That is a tough position, and you've got to have, of steel to walk into that job and do it with the confidence that you can get it done.
Well, I know because of 17 years writing for the Philadelphia Inquirer. But here's the reality. If you're Mike McDaniels and the Philadelphia Eagles come offering you the job as the offensive coordinator, you'd be a fool not to take it.
Go on.
And the reason I say that is because Nick Sirianni is not considered that guy that, oh my Lord, he's just so phenomenal. He's a Super Bowl champion. He wins more than he loses. Nick Sirianni's a damn good coach who deserves a lot more respect than he gets, but he doesn't get it. And when you saw Patullo struggle and Sirianni stepped in, it didn't get better, which didn't help his cause. Now you got to remember when they had Kellen Moore, they won the Super Bowl. Okay. Before that, who was it? Brian Johnson was your offensive coordinator? Well, that was picked by Sirianni. Patullo was picked by Sirianni, so he doesn't have a great track record. But Kellen Moore, picked by Howie Roseman, you know what? His record was good enough because he used to be the offensive coordinator in Dallas. He goes to Philadelphia. They win the championship. He gets the head coaching job in New Orleans. Imagine if Mike McDaniels comes there and the Philadelphia Eagles are winning again. He'll get most of the credit because you saw what things were without him, and Patullo was your offensive coordinator. It's a prime position to be in. It's not all negative. There's some positives. And not only that, you got a big-time defense. Oh, yeah. You got Vic Fangio that ain't going anywhere. And you got the best executive.
You got to want the heat.
And you got the best executive in the sport in Howie Roseman.
No doubt.
So all you need is to do your damn job. All right? That is not something that Mike McDaniel should
That's
cover.
it.
That's number one. Number two, the Eagles returned 10 of 11 offensive starters from last year's Super Bowl team. You, Patullo, you'll be lucky to be you ain't gonna get you ain't getting a coordinator's job. It was just bad. I feel bad for him. You don't wish that on anybody. Let's hope he gets a job in the NFL. Just understand it's gonna be on a lower level. It ain't gonna be up with mobility when it comes to you after the job you did because of the personnel that they had. Yes, you do have to trade A.J. Brown. Ain't no doubt about that. He doesn't want to be there, okay? And they probably don't want him there after the histrionics that he engaged in. But we also have to be real about something here. Anytime there's a wide receiver that seems that disgruntled, we have to at least ask ourselves this question. Is it just about the offensive coordinator? Is it just about the play calling? Or is it also about a quarterback that you don't believe in? Now, we look at Jalen Hurts. He ran the ball 105 times for 421 yards. That's not good enough. He has to run more. He has to be a dual threat. You bench pressing 500 pounds or squatting 500 pounds. That's nice. That means your legs should be strong enough to take some damn hits. Get on out there. Get on out there and run that damn football and be that dual threat we know you to be. Because he needs it in order to create space for him to throw the ball because he's not that pure passer, a la the Dan Marinos, to the Joe Burrows, to the Josh Allens or Patrick Mahomes or somebody like that. He's not that guy. And so running the football, being a dual threat, creating that kind of indecision and trepidation on the part of opposing defenses is something that he needs to be able to do. He did not do that this year. Was that because of him? Or was that because of your offensive coordinator? See, these are the kind of things that a disgruntled wide receiver forces you to ask. I remember years ago when T.O. was in San Francisco, right? He was disgruntled, and everybody was getting on him about it. But was Jeff Garcia that guy? He wasn't Steve Young. He wasn't Joe Montana, even though T.O. didn't play with him. He played with Steve Young. He wasn't that guy. And so you might have lamented what T.O. or how T.O. might have acted, but it didn't make T.O. wrong. We had to acknowledge he was right. And so now, A.J. Brown, was he right? Who was he talking about? Where did his trepidation really lie? Could it be with the Super Bowl MVP of last year, and his lack of belief in that guy. Because if you remember, he had some trepidation before the playoffs last year about the quarterback.
The book, yeah. The book.
You know what I'm saying? So these are all things that we got to keep our eyes on. Just like Harbaugh Tomlin, you got to keep your eye on this in Philadelphia because A.J. Brown threw some nuggets out there, whether we like it or not.
Who they hire will be fascinating.
I do like the Mike McDaniel. I remember Drew Brees calling this Eagles offense boring. This Eagles team so boring.
Mike
And you
McDaniel
bring in
like
McDaniel? Things
McDaniel
get
like
real
ball.
creative in a hurry there.
I don't believe in
Philadelphia.
him as the leader, meaning the head coach.
No, of course
But I
not.
believe in him as a brilliant offensive mind.
designer?
No,
Yes.
no doubt.
Nobody
They need
does
a little spice on that